welcome to Plotting Quadratic Graphs with Cube Education. In this mini lecture, you will know what a quadratic graph looks like and plot a quadratic graph on a set of axes after substituting values of x into the quadratic equation. Now that might all sound a little bit complicated, but I'm sure you'll be just fine once I show you some examples. So, let's take a look at this equation here. We have y equals 2x minus 4. So let's just recap that we can remember how to draw this graph, because we've already done straight line graphs and we know it's a straight line graph because x has got a value here, but it hasn't got any squared or cube numbers here. So y equals 2x minus 4, and remember, all we have to do is substitute all of these numbers for x into the equation one at a time. So we have to do 2 times minus 3, which is minus 6, and then we have to minus 4. So we're going to do that for every single one of these, okay, and we end up with minus 10, minus 8, minus 6, minus 4, minus 2, 0, and 2. And then that gives us all our values for y. So we'll put in all of our x's where we need to plot our points. Okay, and that makes us a nice straight line. However, today we're concentrating on quadratic equations, and here's some examples of quadratics in real life. So we have this bridge here that has this nice arc, that is a quadratic graph shape. This guy throwing the basketball into the basketball net, this archway here, and even the curve of a banana can be represented as a quadratic equation. Okay, so quadratic equations don't form straight line graphs, they form curved graphs. So here we have a positive quadratic graph. So if it was a positive x squared, then the graph would look like this. And if it's a negative x squared, the graph would look like this. So if we just go back a second to our straight line graph, our straight line graph must be a straight line because there are no x squared values. Okay, it could be any number here, but there is no x squared or x cubed values, so we know it's going to make a straight line. Whereas on the quadratic equations, they actually make a curved shape because of the x squared values. So you've already looked at solving quadratic equations using factorization, and if you haven't watched that video, then I suggest you go back and watch it. But you will see then that all of the quadratic equations have an x squared value. Okay, now then, before we go ahead, I would like you to pause the video and have a go at these questions. They're just a quick recap of some positive and negative multiplication. Okay, if you pause the video and had a go, here are the answers. Go through them and check that you got them all right and try and figure out where you went wrong if you did. So what we're going to do now then is have a look at a quadratic equation. So here we have, using a table of values from minus 3 to 3, plot the quadratic y equals x squared on a grid. Now this y equals x squared is our equation, and just like we did with the straight line graph, we're just going to put all of these values for x into here. So all of these, we're going to square them all. Okay, so minus 3 times minus 3 would be 9, and so the value for y would be 9 in this case. And then we would do minus 2 times minus 2, which is 4, so the value for y would be 4. Now before we move forward, in your exam, this might be written a bit differently. So if it wants you to do this, it might write it like this. Okay, this means from the values from minus 3 to 3, which means your x values will be minus 3 up to 3. And you'll have to find all of the y values for each x. So for every single one, it's minus 3 squared for this, minus 2 squared, minus 1 squared, and all of your answers will go in here. So let's have a look at the answers then. So if you'd like to pause the video and have a go at working out the answers, please do. Okay, so if you've had a go at that, let's have a look then. So we've done y equals x squared is our quadratic equation, and that's the curve that we're going to draw. And as we draw it, you will see that all we've done is done x squared for every single value of x, from minus 3 through up to 3. So we can now plot those points. So minus 3, 9, minus 2, 4, minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. Now, as you can see, there is a pattern. You've got 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9. Okay, and you'll see that's because it creates this curve. Okay. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video now and have a go at doing this one. So I want you to write down the working out for the y values for this equation. So y equals x squared plus x minus 6. And you've got to do it for the values from minus 4 to 4. So here you've got a grid, and I've gone from minus 4 all the way through to 4. And I want you to find x squared, and then plus x, and then minus 6. So for example, this is your x value. So x squared, well, that's minus 4 times minus 4, which gives me positive 16. Okay, and then you need to add x to that. Well, x is minus 4. So 16 plus minus 4 actually gives us 12. Okay, so then 12 would go in your next box just here. And then 12 minus 6 here. And 12 minus 6 is 6. So y would be 6. So pause the video and have a go at substituting x into this equation here to find your y answers. If this bit confuses you and you have your own method, feel free just to put in the answers on your working out. Okay, if you've had a go, let's have a look at the answers then. So we have 6, 0, minus 4, minus 6, minus 6, minus 4, 0, 6, and 14. Okay, so you would have found those by putting these x's into the equation. So now we can plot our graph. And you can see it's making a nice, neat curve again. Okay, again, it's a positive graph. Okay, meaning it's going this way. This is also a positive graph because there's no negative here. So just to remind you that if it's a negative graph, this will be a negative x squared value. Okay, so pause the video again then and have a go at doing this one. So this time your equation is x squared plus 2x minus 1. So you just need to substitute all of these values into that equation to find your y value and continue doing that for each number. Okay. Okay, if you've paused the video and had a go, let's have a look at the answers. So we had minus 4 squared, okay, which is 16, and then 2 times minus 4 is minus 8. So 16 minus 8 is 8, and then 8 minus 1 is 7. So yeah, 7 in there. Minus 3 times minus 3 is 9, plus 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. So 9 minus 6 is 3, minus 1 is 2, and so on. So that's what you would have done for each one, and then you would plot your graph. Okay. So as you can see, this one is only gone from there to there, but it is still symmetrical, and it would obviously end up reaching up there if we did the next number along. So I hope that was useful. That's shown you how to plot quadratic graphs and identify the difference between the positive and the negative. Remember, if it's a positive graph, this will be an x squared value like this, and it will make a curve this way round. If this is a negative x squared, the curve would be this way round, okay, going downwards. Okay, so I hope that's been really, really helpful, and it's helped you understand how to plot these graphs. Well done. Thank you very much for using Cuba Education, and I'll see you next time.